Thank you for joining us. Before we get started on today's episode, just a quick reminder to please smash the like button in the bottom right corner and subscribe to Locked On Senators so you can be the first to know when new content arrives. The best way to help us grow is to comment on the video as well. So let us know if this is a player you want the Sens to draft or you think they should stay away from, and let us know why as well. This is one of 64 draft profiles that we're producing. So let's get into it. Coming in at number 55 on our Sens Central NHL Draft rankings with an average of 51, we're going to OHL defenseman Christian Kyrou.
And Ross, another guy with some family ties in the hockey industry, his brother Jordan Kyrou, absolutely lighting it up for the St. Louis Blues. Yeah, so you can tell he's had some competition with his big brother because Christian Kyrou is also a guy that can step into big moments, and he's showing he can get it done too. The big thing that I'm looking at with Christian Kyrou, Ross, is he was one of those rare players where he did get some OHL experience before they had to shut down the year before. He played 21 games with the Erie Otters, 0 points in 21 games, Ross. And now he finished this season with 60 points in 68 games. Like, it's just crazy that he was able to go from kind of not having an impact at all. And I mean, 21 games, like, that's not a full season by any means, but that's a good sample size, right? Like, he was getting his time there and no points whatsoever, not even a cheeky second assist on an empty netter or something like that, like nothing. And then to have a breakout season where he's almost a point per game guy, it's wild. He was the Otters' top defenseman. He finished 4th in the OHL for defenseman scoring, and he finished 3rd on his team in points, only 3 points behind the top player who was a forward. So clearly he was a main part of their offense, and the Otters were really pushing for the playoffs, Ross. They were 1 point away from making the playoffs, but in their final game, they lost 10-2, and he was a -4. So that is a tough way to end your season.
It certainly is. Christian Kyrou, 5 years younger than his older brother Jordan, who's already established himself as an all-star in the National Hockey League. But Christian Kyrou, unlike Mads Lindgren, is the oldest player in this draft. The first day of first-year eligibility is the day he was born, September 16th, 2003. I still have to pause when these are 2003 and 2004 birth years, but that means he's going to be 19 years old when he goes into a training camp. So for me, this is a guy who's closer to the NHL. And we've talked about all these OHL guys, how they've missed out on so much time. But Pillsy, you mentioned it. He already got to play 21 OHL games the year before most of these other players were rookies. And that's just the way it's worked out with his age being what it is. And Craig Button's got him at 35 on his list. Elite prospects at 37. But what's interesting is no one else has him anywhere. Whereas he's so close to being like considered almost a first round talent when it comes to the guys who do have him ranked.
Yeah, I'm very surprised at that, Ross, because like we mentioned, he had an absolute breakout season, 68 points or 60 points, in 68 games. Like, I'm very surprised.
Goals.
Yeah, 18 goals. He could shoot the puck. Yeah, I'm surprised that, like, just his namesake didn't have more scouts looking into him. Like Jordan Kyrou, speaking of breakout seasons, he's broken out definitely. So the thing is with Christian Kyrou is he is clearly an offensive defenseman. Like, he's an offenseman. That's a term we can use for him. And the issue with that is sometimes he gets into a little trouble in his own end, and he doesn't always make sure he's the first one back on a back check. Let's just say that. But his offensive skills, they kind of cancel out his poor defense because he's able to read plays and distribute the puck so well. And like we mentioned, he has a dangerous shot from the point.
He is 5'10", 182 pounds, a right shot defenseman. And Pillsy, get this, on NHL's central scouting list, they do a midterm and then they do a final ranking among North American skaters. He moved up from 179th at midterm to 48th in the final. That, to me, is the sign of a guy who's taken a rocket ship up to the middle of the second round, I think, is where we'll see him go.
Yeah, I would agree, and I could even see a team that maybe doesn't have a first round pick, and their first selection is in the second round, being like, "This is the guy we're gonna put our money on. Like, this is the horse we're betting on."
And you probably see it less with defensemen, but to your point, maybe it's a team where you need a defenseman within 2 years, and you're
Yep,
like, okay, he's
exactly.
already a little bit older, a little bit more mature than these other guys. He's already shown to offensively dominate at the OHL level. He could be a guy we see as a sixth, seventh defenseman in the NHL already within a couple of years.
Yeah, and I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he does one more OHL year and then he's in the American Hockey League as a
Yes.
top pair defenseman. Like, that's really the vibe I get from Christian Kyrou, and I like him. I think the thing is, he has such good offensive instincts that really you can't teach. Like, that his brain just works that way, but you can teach him to play better defensively and balance it out a little. So I think he's someone scouts are going to be interested in. I like his game, but I just think he may struggle in the pros a little bit if he doesn't figure out the defensive side of it, because then you're not going to be able to rely on him enough to give him the ice time where he can produce offensively and be paired up with some of the better offensive talents as on the forward lines, right? So that's where I'd be a little hesitant, but definitely I like Christian Kyrou. I give him 3.5 stars.
3.5. I'm going to go with 3 stars for Christian Kyrou. I think right shot defenseman, always a piece of value come NHL draft. I like the offensive instincts, but when I'm looking at how the Sens are building going forward with their young defensemen, I think they've already got a lot of guys with some offensive capabilities. I think that, yeah, you're going to fill them out with NHL bodies, more defensive minded, and you take best player available. But I think there's other options that I prefer. That to say, it's not a 1 or a 2. I think that if they take them, I'll get on board with the pick. But I do like a couple other options here. But man, a team who gets him and puts him in the right situations to succeed, maybe a team who doesn't have a second unit power play quarterback. To me, the potential for him is like a 4-5 defenseman at even strength, but a guy who is going to bring points to a power play unit at the NHL level.